Hey, how's it going, guys? This is your boy Hazzed, and in this video we're going to be going over rotation and we're going to be going over Runic Management. Now, there's a lot of different ways you can use your runic power, so I'm going to explain the different ways you can use them and when to use them that way. We're going to get pretty intricate. Alright, so starting off, we're gonna go over basic rotation. Now, with my basic rotation, people ask me, what do I use? Now, listen close. When you ask question, what do I use? Think about this. Priority system. Priority system. Okay? So, first thing, apply dots. Always want dots. Dots, 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 dots. From there, if you have an obliterate up, hit an obliterate. That is your go-to attack. Your go-to attack. Obliterate. Just hit him with obliterate. Now, the other thing is, if you don't have an obliterate up, chances are your runes are on cooldown. Therefore, use Frost Strike. And especially if you have maxed out rune power and you have an obliterate and you think you still have some runes down, you can still use Frost Strike to keep your runic power just lower, so you can use obliterates and gain more obliterates to gain more runic power, and in turn, more Frost Strikes. Now, of course, when you get a Howling Blast crit, that's your number one use. It's a free Howling Blast. You don't use anything, you don't even gain anything off it. It's just free. Now, you put that right before an Obliterate crit or something. Now, when it comes to Killing Machine procs, should you throw it into Frost Strike ever? If you have like a 4-second cooldown on Obliterate and you have a Killing Machine proc up and you have a Frost Strike, throw it into it. The reason is those 4 seconds, there's a very good chance that in that time you're going to get another Killing Machine proc, and then you're going to crit Frost Strike and then Obliterate, which is Enhanced Burst. And if you wouldn't have done it and taken that risk, you wouldn't have gotten both of them. Now, that's basically it for basic rotation. Now, I'd say we blow cooldowns, and here comes the CDs. Of course, you guys know my macro is just a basic trinket and then pillar. So basically we use that, and I think I even have something else in there right now. But anyways, so we throwing out obliterates, big obliterates, Howling Blast obliterates. Follow the same priority system, just as much damage as possible, and that's basically our rotation. I mean, it's so simple, a rotation up front, that you can just, I mean, I could sit here and click it easily and do the rotation. See, I'm just doing the priority system. I'm kind of messed up there for a second. It happens, but priority system. Priority system. You just got to do that priority system, guys, and it'll just keep your rotation up correctly, and you'll push all the way through it. Alright, so Runic Management. Now, people say they're confused about the runic power. Don't be, guys. Your runic power is a bar. It's going to go up, it's going to go down, and it can only go up and down in basically 2 different ways. If you use Frost Strike or you use Conversion. Now, lately there's been a lot of confusion about it, and people have been sitting it and using it without using Frost Strike. Well, there's actually a trick I have that, because of what rune talent I'm using, empowered, I actually throw in a couple key Frost Strikes which proc runes, which give me more death strikes for healing, which people using Runic Corruption are not going to get the same gratification from it because it's not an instant proc, and it's a trick that I'm using to beat other DKs and tools and overheal everyone else. So just take that into consideration. And so anyways, here, the ways you can use it. Now, when you're DPSing in arena or something, when you get on a target and you're hitting it, let's say it's going to be like a druid or something, you're only going to be able to get on it for a short amount of time. That means you should get on and don't use Frost Strike. Build up your Frost Strikes. Let's take in consideration you're not being focused right now. Build up your Frost Strikes. Build up till you have 100. Why? Because that means you have a full burst. Now wait for your runes to fully come back around. Basically, you're not doing anything at this point. All you're doing is buying time in arena. Why? Let's say you're playing with the healer. He's healing you. You have full health. All you have is time at this point. So this is going to be a full burst with runic power. And of course, this is what we call runic dumping with full burst. Now I've got full runes. Now we can start off with frost strikes, hit it down to 50, throw in a couple obliterates. We're maxed out. Throw in more frost strikes to proc more obliterates, more frost strikes. Of course, you gotta have one of your dots. Throw in the plague leech to get some back. Throw in obliterates, more frost strikes. That's a full burst. If you stun somebody and hit them with a full burst like that, that's how we generate that upfront hard burst that just blows something up. Now that's one way you can use it. Now keep in mind, as you're being hit and stuff in arena using this dot, you'll gain more, a lot more. And for that, it's pretty great. Now for defensive runic manage, now this is complete defensive. We're getting on the target here. We're hitting him up. Alright, we're pushing our runic power up. Now let's say we're getting focus hard and we just need conversion. Yes, I highly say do not use frost strikes if you really, really need the conversion. Now let's say we're bobbing around this much health. I'm going to let this dummy hit me for a second, knock us down. We have about this much health, we have some death strikes up, and we have conversion. Now I'm going to go in hard and death strike this dude's face off, and of course they're hitting me and doing something. That's a frost strike proc, 5-second on obliterate. I'm going to throw it. You see how I got a rune up that fast? And then I procced almost 2 consecutive death strikes, which it was a 5-second on obliterate, which means the death strikes were that long. That was an amazing heal right there. That would have put me way ahead of the other DK, way ahead of whoever I'm fighting. I mean, I can cap almost doing that consecutively to people, and nobody knows what happens. That's one of my big secrets to runic management and healing. So the final question is, how do you manage your runic power? Offensively, you just come out in DPS and use the priority system, throw in a couple of death strikes to heal through some of that AoE damage, but basically priority system, priority system. Defensively, so throwing up conversion, it's only going to tick 6 times in a bar since it went up to 15 from 10. So you're going to have to decide that's going to be less healing. So 6 times 2, 12% healing compared to 20% healing. So we're going to have to rely on death strike more during the times that we need to heal. So I said we need to use it sparingly. So how do you manage your runic power defensively? Decide. You can either go straight with just death striking and throwing out frost strikes, which is all the way defensive, or you could go offensive defensive, where you're throwing out obliterates and not using frost strikes and leaving up conversion. There's a couple different ways you can do that. You have to decide how low a health you are, if they're bursting, when that's coming, and that's how you manage your runic power. You don't necessarily have to watch your runic power. You just have to keep up the rotation. Why are you ringing phone? That's okay.